There's a moment burned into your brain right now. You know exactly which one. Maybe it was something you said in front of a crowd. Maybe it was a text you sent to the wrong person. Maybe it was a fall, a stumble, a word that came out completely wrong in a room full of people who heard every syllable. It happened years ago, maybe a decade ago. And yet, here you are, wide awake at 2 a.m., replaying it in full detail, like it happened this morning. The question isn't why it was embarrassing. The question is why your brain refuses to let it go. And the answer is stranger than you think. Your brain is not designed to make you happy. It was designed to keep you alive. And for most of human history, those two things were very different jobs. To understand why embarrassing memories stick the way they do, you have to understand what embarrassment actually is. Not what it feels like, but what it was built for. Go back 50,000 years. Your ancestor is sitting around a fire with 12 other people. This is not a social gathering. This is survival infrastructure. That group of 12 is the only reason your ancestor is alive. They share food. They warn each other about predators. They protect each other's children. Being part of that group was not optional. Being removed from that group meant death. Not metaphorical death. Not social awkwardness. Actual death. Alone on the savannah, your ancestor lasted maybe 3 days. So the brain developed a very specific alarm system. Anytime you did something that threatened your standing in the group, said the wrong thing, acted in a way that made others judge you, violated a social rule, your brain fired a warning signal so powerful that you could not ignore it. That signal is what we call embarrassment. It wasn't designed to make you feel bad. It was designed to make sure you never did that thing again. Here's where it gets interesting. Your brain has a system for deciding which memories to store and which ones to let fade. Most of what happens to you every day disappears within hours. What you had for lunch 3 Tuesdays ago, the route you drove to work last month, gone. But your brain applies a very different rule to threatening events. Threatening events get priority storage. Your brain tags them with a chemical marker, a flood of cortisol and adrenaline, that essentially tells the memory system, this one matters. Keep it. Keep it in detail. Keep it accessible. Because if this situation ever comes up again, I need to react fast. This is the same system that makes traumatic events stick. The same system that makes you remember exactly where you were when something terrible happened. Your brain does not distinguish between a physical threat and a social threat. To the part of your brain running this process, being laughed at by a group of people fires almost the same alarm as being chased by a predator. The stakes feel identical, because for most of human history, they were. Now here's the part that explains the 2 a.m. replay. Scientists call it the default mode network. When your brain has nothing urgent to do, when you are lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, drifting between awake and asleep, a specific network of brain regions switches on automatically. This network does not rest. It reviews. It goes back through stored memories, particularly the ones tagged as socially threatening, and runs them again, not to torture you, to solve them. Your brain is trying to figure out what you should have done differently. It is running simulations, generating alternative responses, building a better social playbook for next time. The problem is that it cannot solve embarrassment the way it can solve a math problem. There is no answer at the end. The moment already happened. The words were already said. The fall already happened. There is nothing to fix. So the brain runs it again, and again, and again, looking for a resolution that does not exist. This is also why embarrassing memories grow sharper over time instead of fading. Normal memories decay. Details blur. Faces become vague. The sequence of events gets fuzzy at the edges. Embarrassing memories do the opposite. Every time your brain replays the memory, it reinforces the neural pathway. The memory gets stronger, more detailed, more vivid. The feeling attached to it gets more intense. Neuroscientists call this reconsolidation. Every time you remember something, you are not just retrieving it, you are rewriting it. And each rewrite makes the emotional charge slightly stronger. Your brain is not punishing you. It genuinely believes it is helping. It keeps the memory sharp because it keeps calculating that the information is still relevant, that it still needs to be solved, that the threat is still active. It does not know the moment is over. There is a specific name for the experience of replaying your own embarrassing moments and assuming everyone else is thinking about them as much as you are. Psychologists call it the spotlight effect. It was studied in a famous experiment at Cornell University. Participants were asked to wear a t-shirt with a large embarrassing image on it and walk into a room full of people. Afterward, they were asked to estimate how many people in the room had noticed the shirt. On average, they guessed about 50%. The actual number was closer to 25%. We consistently believe we are under a spotlight that does not exist, and the reason goes back to the same ancient wiring. Your brain is running a constant social threat scan. It monitors how you are perceived. It watches for signs of rejection. It processes your own actions with enormous attention because those actions directly affect your standing in the group. But other people's brains are doing the exact same thing. They are not watching you. They are watching themselves. Everyone believes they are the main character of the room. Everyone is running their own threat scan. Nobody has the spare processing power to think about your stumble, your awkward sentence, your wrong word, because they are too busy worrying about their own. So why does none of this help? You can know the spotlight effect is real. You can understand the neuroscience. You can tell yourself that nobody remembers it and nobody cares. And at 2 a.m., the memory comes back anyway. Because knowing something intellectually and having your brain believe it are two completely different things. Your prefrontal cortex, the rational, thinking part of your brain, understands that the embarrassing moment is over. It can reason about it. It can conclude that the threat has passed. But the amygdala, the ancient alarm system buried deep in your brain, does not speak in logic. It speaks in threat levels. And it tagged that memory as a social threat decades ago. That tag does not come off just because you read a fact about it. The alarm and the reasoning live in different parts of your brain. They do not always talk to each other. Here is what actually works. Research on memory reconsolidation suggests that the most effective way to reduce the emotional charge of an embarrassing memory is not to avoid it, but to change the context in which you replay it. When the memory comes up, instead of replaying it from inside your own eyes, feeling the heat, hearing the silence, re-experiencing the reaction, try watching it from the outside. Imagine you are watching a stranger go through it. The same thing that happened to you, happening to someone else you can see from a distance. What do you feel watching that stranger? Almost always. Not judgment. Not contempt. Something much closer to sympathy. You would not think that stranger was permanently defined by that moment. You would not think about it for years. You would forget it within hours. Your brain gives others a grace it refuses to give itself, because the threat scanner only runs on you. The embarrassing memory that plays at 2 a.m. is not evidence of how bad the moment was. It is evidence of how seriously your brain takes your place among other people. It has been protecting that place for 50,000 years. It just does not know yet that the fire went out, that the group moved on, that everyone else forgot, and that the version of you lying awake right now is safe.